Where does the federal government get the authority to dictate the power requirements and the power regulations for the states?
Well, actually they can't. What the federal government's issue is a federal energy regulatory is they kind of allow the states, because we regulate the price of power here through our industrial utilities. The Public Utility Commission does. One of the things the federal government does, it was they passed PURPA, and PURPA says if you put in a small federal, well, Congress passed the law, and because it's interstate commerce, it's covered under the commerce laws, which says if you put in a small power plant, we're going to pay you a preferred rate, but the state decides what that rate is. So we tie our PURPA rate to the price of gas. That's why a lot of these guys have been upset, whether they're putting in small hydropower, whether they're putting in a digester to dairy, whatever it is. These are all PURPA projects. The price of gas has come way down, and now they don't make sense for them. But the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission and PURPA are the two laws of the federal government. But in Idaho, the Public Utilities Commission basically has the authority to regulate the consumer-owned power. And of course, these other projects are basically the one I went to down in Idaho Falls. That is regulated by the Public Utilities Commission for the state of California. They went to the San Diego Power Company, put a gun to their head and said, you got to have more renewable. You know, they don't have very many sites, so the cheapest site for them was to build all those wind projects.
How much control does the state of Idaho have in its direction that they choose to take regarding energy and the renewable energy, and how they want to go with the choices that they have between nuclear and wind and solar and some of these other things? I've been doing a lot of research lately, and with the internet, you can find just about anything you want to fit anything you want to do, so it's really sending me for a loop. But I'm reading some crazy things about Agenda 21 and the G20 summits and things where they're moving towards a global regulation, and where that will really render the power of the states sort of obsolete when they come into this sort of global agreement. There was an article in the New American Magazine with regards to wind power and the fact that it's a scam of sorts. I don't know. I'm just trying to get to the root of it. But I guess the big thing is it looks like, we know that the states now are heavily reliant on federal funds for just about everything that we do, and we understand that with that happening, that inevitably draws strings to where we have to do whatever the federal government requires us to be able to do. And to me, I'm a little bit worried about that, and so I'd like to be able to know how much control Idaho actually has as a sovereign state of the union, and can we function, or is there any movement at all toward the fact that we can sort of choose to eliminate the federal funds that we know that tie strings to the state?
Well, actually, we did that in the last session of the legislature. We had a sales tax credit for some of these that was supposed to be temporary, and then it got as a lot of temporary tax breaks do. When we got to the end of the temporary tax break, they said, we want to redo it, and the legislature, by one vote, said no, and but most of these are all tax policy. What kind of a tax break do you get? And the vast majority are on your federal income taxes, the renewable portfolio, the credits, but those are, we don't have any control over that, and we do have control over the cost of energy. We do set the utility rates, which we basically say you're able to make a return on your investment, and then the rest of it, that's the rate that we pay here in Idaho. So and we don't get any. We might get a little money, but we get very little direct money on energy. Where we get money is on roads and health and welfare for Medicaid, and for about 20% for education money, but not on energy. But because energy always crosses state lines, the Commerce Clause comes into